Ethan Rivers had closed billion-dollar deals. But nothing prepared him for what a stranger asked him that afternoon. He was seated at a quiet sidewalk cafe, tablet glowing in his hands, scanning acquisition numbers he'd reviewed 100 times before. The late afternoon sun painted the pavement gold, but Ethan barely noticed. As CEO of Rivers Tech Solutions, his mind rarely shut off, even on weekends. That's when a soft voice cut through his focus. "Excuse me, is anyone sitting here?" Ethan looked up. A woman stood beside the empty chair across from him. She wasn't overdressed. She wasn't trying to impress. A cream blouse, a tan skirt, blonde hair pulled neatly back. Simple, elegant, nervous. "No," Ethan said calmly. "Go ahead." She smiled, tight, unsure, and sat down. But she didn't order anything. That's when Ethan noticed it. Her fingers twisting together. Her eyes darting toward the street. The way she inhaled deeply, as if bracing herself. She wasn't here for coffee. "I'm sorry," she said suddenly. "This is going to sound completely insane." Ethan locked his tablet and set it aside. "I'm listening." She swallowed. "My ex-fiancé is getting married in 3 weeks." That got his attention. "I was invited," she continued quickly. "I shouldn't go. I know I shouldn't. But I feel like I have to for closure." Ethan remained silent. "The problem is," she said, voice cracking just slightly, "showing up alone makes me look pathetic. Like I'm still stuck while he's moved on." Then she looked him straight in the eyes. "So I need a date." Ethan blinked once. "You want me," he said carefully, "to be your date, to your ex's wedding?" She nodded. "I know how ridiculous this sounds. But you look successful. Put together. Someone people would believe I've moved on with." She rushed the next words. "I'll pay you $1,000. Just one afternoon. You don't even have to pretend too hard. Just stay close and look real." Ethan should have said no. He didn't know her. He had meetings, deadlines, a life carefully structured to avoid complications. But something stopped him. It was the way she tried to sit tall, while clearly breaking inside. Pride fighting pain. Confidence stitched together over heartbreak. He recognized that look. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lena," she said softly. "Lena Hart." "Ethan Rivers." She hesitated. "So? I don't need your money," Ethan said. "But I'll do it under one condition." Her eyes widened. "What condition?" "You tell me the real reason you're going to that wedding." Lena's composure cracked. "I wanted to see that I'm okay," she admitted. "That leaving me didn't destroy me, even though it did, a little." Her voice dropped. "I want to walk in with someone who makes me look like I've moved on, like I'm thriving." She let out a small, bitter laugh. "Is that pathetic?" Ethan shook his head. "It's human." Silence hung between them. "So," she whispered, "you'll do it?" "Yes," Ethan said. "Really?" Her breath caught. "Just like that? Just like that?" She stared at him, stunned. "You don't even want to know anything else about me?" "I'll learn what matters," he replied. Sometimes the strangest requests come from the most genuine needs. They exchanged numbers. Lena stood still in disbelief. "Thank you," she said. "You have no idea what this means to me." Ethan watched her walk away. Moments later, his phone rang. "Where are you?" his assistant snapped. "We have the Meridian presentation in 20 minutes. "I know," Ethan said, standing up. "I'll be there." "You sound distracted." He allowed himself a small smile. "I just agreed to be a stranger's fake date to her ex-fiancé's wedding." A pause. "You did what?" "I'll explain later." As Ethan stepped into the street, he didn't know it yet, but he had just said yes to the decision that would change his life forever. What began as a simple favor quickly became something neither of them expected. Lena sent the wedding details that night. Location. Guest list. Names she hadn't spoken aloud in over a year. Ethan read every word carefully. Not because he needed to memorize a role, but because he understood what this day represented for her. Over the next 2 weeks, they met to prepare. At first it felt awkward. Coffee shops. Neutral places. Safe places. "So," Lena said one afternoon, wrapping her hands around her cup. How did we meet? Ethan thought for a moment. Something believable. Not romantic. Real. A charity event, she suggested. An art fundraiser. That works, he nodded. You were there supporting arts education. I was there for business connections. And we bonded over your opinion about a painting everyone else pretended to understand, he said easily. She smiled. That actually sounds like me. They built the story slowly. 6 months together. Public, but not flashy. Comfortable, not desperate. But somewhere between rehearsing details and sharing meals, the pretending started slipping. Lena laughed more easily around him. Ethan listened more closely than he had with anyone in years. One evening, during dinner, Lena suddenly went quiet. Can I ask you something? She said. Of course. Why are you really doing this? Ethan didn't answer right away. Finally, he said, 5 years ago, my wife left me. Met someone else. Married him 6 months later. Lena's eyes softened. She invited me to the wedding, he continued. I didn't go. I told myself I didn't care, but the truth is I did. I regret not showing up. Not because I wanted her back, but because I let fear make the decision. He met Lena's gaze. I don't want you to live with that regret. She nodded slowly. Thank you for telling me. The wedding day arrived faster than Lena expected. Ethan picked her up in a simple car, nothing flashy. She noticed. She didn't say anything. The vineyard was beautiful in a way that felt expensive and distant. As soon as Lena stepped out, her shoulders stiffened. I recognize people, she whispered. Everyone I tried to forget. Ethan offered his arm. Then stay with me. They walked in together. Heads turned. Whispers followed. Lena felt it, but for the first time, she didn't feel small. During the ceremony, she watched her ex-fiancé, Daniel, smile as he took his vows. She waited for the pain. It didn't come. Instead, something unexpected settled in her chest. Clarity. She realized she wasn't mourning him. She was mourning the version of herself who thought she wasn't enough. At the reception, guests approached. So, how did you two meet? Someone asked, polite curiosity barely masking doubt. Lena began the story. Ethan added details, small ones. Real ones. The color of her dress that night. The way she laughed when she was nervous. The moment he knew he wanted to see her again. People stopped questioning. They started believing. Then Daniel approached, with his new wife beside him. Lena, he said warmly. I'm glad you came. Congratulations, Lena replied, steady. And you are? Daniel asked, turning to Ethan. Ethan, he said, offering his hand. Lena talks about you kindly. Daniel hesitated, then shook it. What do you do? Daniel asked, the challenge clear. I work in tech, Ethan replied easily. But today I'm just here for her. The conversation ended quickly. When Daniel walked away, Lena exhaled. Thank you, she whispered. You made that easy. I told you, Ethan said softly. I've got you. Later, music filled the air. Ethan extended his hand. Dance with me? You don't have to, she said. I want to. On the dance floor, Lena relaxed into his arms. Can I tell you something? She asked quietly. Anything. This doesn't hurt like I thought it would. I'm not broken watching him marry someone else. She looked up at him. I think I was holding on to the idea of him, not the man himself. Ethan smiled gently. That's growth. As the song ended, Lena didn't step away. Ethan, she said, heart pounding. Yes. When this wedding is over, would you want to see me again? Not pretend. Not as a favor. For real. He didn't hesitate. I was hoping you'd ask. Lena laughed softly, eyes shining. For the first time in a long time, what started as a performance felt like the most honest moment of her life. And neither of them realized yet. The hardest part was already behind them. The morning after the wedding, Lena woke up expecting the familiar heaviness, the emotional hangover that usually followed any reminder of her past. It never came. Instead, there was a quiet calm. Her phone buzzed. Ethan, good morning. I hope today feels lighter. She smiled before replying. Lena, it does. Thank you for yesterday for everything. They didn't label what was happening between them. They didn't need to. Their first real date wasn't extravagant. No fancy restaurant. No grand gestures. Just a walk through a public garden near the river. They talked about small things, favorite childhood memories, the strangest art projects Lena's students had ever created. The moment Ethan realized success didn't feel the way he'd imagined. You know, Ethan said, stopping near the water, I've spent years in rooms full of powerful people, and I've never felt as present as I do right now. Lena studied him. That's funny. I was just thinking the same thing. Weeks passed. Then months. They built something quietly. Ethan showed up for Lena's world, not just physically, but emotionally. He listened when she talked about her students. He remembered their names. He celebrated small victories, college acceptances, scholarship letters, shy smiles from kids who finally believed in themselves. One evening, Lena hesitated before asking, "Would you come to our school's art exhibition?" Ethan smiled. I wouldn't miss it. The gym was crowded, colorful, loud in a way corporate events never were. Paintings lined the walls. Sculptures sat proudly on folding tables. Ethan watched Lena move through the room. She crouched to speak to nervous students, praised their work sincerely, defended their creativity fiercely. "This is incredible," he said when she finally reached him. She laughed. "You're not bored?" "Not even close," Ethan replied. "I've sat through 100 conferences. They all blur together. But this matters." She looked at him, eyes soft. Later that night, as they walked to the car, Lena stopped. "I love you," she said suddenly. Ethan didn't look surprised. "I know," he said gently. "And I love you too." She blinked. "How did you know?" "Because you see me," he said. "Not the title. Not the achievements. Just me." She exhaled, emotion filling her chest. "I needed to say it here," she admitted. "In my world. So you'd know." "I do," he said. "And it means everything." A year later, Ethan stood at the edge of the same vineyard where their story had truly begun. But this time, he wasn't pretending. Guests filled the seats. Soft music played. Sunlight filtered through the vines. When Lena appeared at the end of the aisle, wearing white, Ethan forgot how to breathe. She wasn't walking toward closure this time. She was walking toward home. As she reached him, he leaned in and whispered, "We should thank Daniel." She raised an eyebrow. "For what?" "For letting you go," he said. "And for inviting you to his wedding. Otherwise, I might never have become your fake date or your real husband." She laughed quietly. That too. In his vows, Ethan spoke without notes. "I agreed to be a fake date because I saw someone brave enough to ask for help," he said. "But I stayed because I found someone who makes every part of life more honest." Lena taught me that the best decisions don't always come from careful planning, but from kindness. When it was Lena's turn, her voice trembled, but didn't break. "I thought love came from perfect timing and perfect circumstances," she said. "But I was wrong. Love came when a stranger said yes to a strange request, and never made me feel small for asking." Tears glistened in the crowd. They were pronounced husband and wife beneath the open sky. Daniel and his wife were not invited. Not out of bitterness, but because that chapter had ended, exactly where it was meant to. Years later, when people asked how they met, Lena would smile and tell the truth. "I hired him to be my fake date to my ex's wedding. And I stayed," Ethan would add. "Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is ask for help. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do is say yes." What started as pretending became the realest love they'd ever known. If this story reminded you that the most unexpected beginnings can lead to the most beautiful endings, like, share, and subscribe to Soulful Stories by Yashva. And comment below, have you ever said yes to something unusual that changed your life?